So my last video, I asked the question, how do you find the best real estate agent in London, Ontario? And I had a lot of positive feedback. Of course, I want to share the flip side of that. Where do you want to avoid the worst real estate agents in London, Ontario? Hey, it's Ryan Hodge, broker owner here at the Realty firm. Sandra, Tavares, and I have been selling real estate in London for nearly 20 years. Which is hard to believe, and we have seen it all. I'm not going to name names, but there are some agents out there that you certainly would want to avoid. And unfortunately, a few bad apples sometimes seem to spoil the bunch. However, when we look at the traits of a good agent versus an agent that is not necessarily supporting you, I thought I would break down a few key characteristics of what you want to avoid. Number one, you want to avoid anybody that is not going to protect your best interests. We as licensed professionals under the Real Estate Council of Ontario and the Trust in Real Estate Services Act have an obligation to protect our clients' best interests in terms of owing them what's called fiduciary duty, which is accountability, integrity, transparency, full disclosure on anything and everything that we need to do in order to protect our clients' interests. So if you feel that your interests are not being protected, you want to avoid that 100%. Number two, you want to avoid the person that lies to you to get a listing rather than levels with you up front. See, I've learned over the years that in order to be highly successful and highly productive inside of the London and St. Thomas market, the number one thing that I can always tell home sellers is the truth. Because I don't want to get into a really frustrating experience with any of my clients when a home is not selling. And I would way rather level with people up front in order to give you the information that you actually deserve, rather than just tell anybody what they want to hear in terms of, securing a listing. We sell enough real estate that we don't need to do that. And when you meet with us, we're going to tell you our exact opinion based on deep market research, which brings me to number three. If you have an agent that doesn't bring you multiple approaches to value, doing very, very deep research on the data that exists, not only on your property, but on street sales, area sales, market metrics, different approaches to value on your property, whether you're selling or whether you're going to offer on a property, it's probably not the agent that you truly want to work with. We've seen so many people that bought in the height of the market where an agent just jammed them into a multiple offer situation. And now, a few years later, when they actually had to sell, whether they saw that coming or not, they're in a really, really tough position. Deep market research, whether you're buying, selling, investing, or building, is absolutely critical. And understanding that data is going to be important, along with when it comes time to reduce the price if your property is not selling. You have to have somebody that knows the numbers from all the angles, not just comparable sales, because too many agents just use comparable sales. The other thing is marketing. If you have an agent that is just taking photos on their phone and they are not truly looking at what it is that you need in terms of the information to actually market a property to the right areas, to the right audiences, showcasing your home to as many people as possible online and offline, that is something to question. And that first impression really counts. So finding a real estate agent that does get professional photos, video, media, drone, markets it to many different audiences, many different markets is absolutely critical. Otherwise, you're just in a position where you're just waiting, hoping, and praying. You need somebody that's going to be very, very proactive, along with what I believe is the most important thing that you can find in an agent. And if you're not finding this out of your agent, then I think that's a challenge, which is communication. Is your agent communicating with you every step of the way? Because too often, I've seen it over the years where agents give all the promises in the world when they go to list a house. They get the sign on the lawn, they maybe take some photos, and then they just disappear. You need to have constructive feedback and communication every single step of the way when your home is for sale. You need to be getting how much information is required to make healthy decisions when it comes to your property. whether that is for a price reduction, whether the home's not selling, are you getting enough reporting data from your agent each and every week on feedback, on how many views the home's had, exactly where the house stands in the market and what's going on. Because if your agent ghosts you after they list the house, that's incredibly frustrating too. Those are some key tips when it comes to, how to find the worst agent and what to avoid. Thought I'd share that from a little bit of my experience. If you enjoy this content, be sure to like and subscribe. Sandra and I are always here to serve and support you every single step of the way, and we want to keep you in the know of all the amazing things and amazing real estate people out in our London and St. Thomas Association of Realtors, and a few pitfalls to avoid. Here to support. We'll connect real soon.